Yeah, not on a lot of sleep right now.
I was gonna say you woke up early, dude.
I know. I went to bed at
I felt like I woke up too early.
midnight, woke up at about 4:15. So this is going to be fun.
Mhm.
All right. Cool. Hello and welcome to episode 151 of the Nintendo Fun Club podcast. This is a podcast about Nintendo and about fun. I'm Ryan, and joining me as always is John.
What's up, Ryan?
Hey, how are you?
I am good. I'm good. I'm refreshed after a 2 day long streak of having brutal headaches. Um,
Ooh.
yeah. But I'm feeling great. So up and at 'em, bright and early, ready to talk about some Nintendo
Oh
games.
yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
that's how we do. Some Nintendo games we're not going to be talking about are the games on the SNES Classic
Oh,
because neither of us got one of those.
nope. I could have gotten one because Kevin and Rich, our friends, went to Walmart on Thursday night and got in line about 9:30 and texted me from the line and were like, "Hey, there's still room in the line. You can definitely still get one." But the problem for me is that you and I both pre-ordered from Amazon UK back in June, right? So and
Hmm.
Amazon had already charged my card and dispatched my my Super NES
Oh yeah.
Classic. So I'm not really in the position to double down, spend twice on a Super Nintendo Classic. So I had to pass it up. And then yesterday in the morning, my friend Marcus went to Target and he got in line and they had 60 SNES Classics at Target, and he was like number 20 in line or something. And he was like, "Hey, come join me," or which I couldn't do because I was at work. Or I can pick one up for you. So I was, had a
Oh my
couple
god.
opportunities. I could have had one, but it was like I can wait 5 or 6 days. I hope.
For 25-year-old games.
Yeah. So I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I wanted to spend twice as much money on an SNES Classic as necessary, but
Hmm.
just didn't think it was smart. So
Yeah. Well, man, I wish I had the opportunities presented to you. I wish I had had that golden platter
yeah.
with the SNES Classic handed to me. Uh, but yeah, like you said, I have one coming from the UK. Personally though, like the SNES is my favorite video game system ever, and like these are pretty much like my top like 8 of my top 10 favorite games are on this system. So uh, I actually like I kind of want one from every region,
Hmm.
and have them hooked up to different devices in our apartment. Like I would like to, have one hooked up to my computer for recording gameplay, and like one hooked up to the bedroom TV for like RPG sick days, and then like one hooked up to like the TV in the living room for like, playing Street Fighter and like Mario World or Mario Kart when people come over or something. So I actually still really want a North American one. I still want a Super Famicom Mini as well. But I went to my 24-hour Walmart at uh, about uh, about 6 a.m. Yesterday, Friday morning, and I got there and went back to the electronics department, and there was a line of people at 6 a.m. And I was like, oh, this is weird. and
Yeah.
So I went to the end of the line. I'm like, are people waiting for SNES Classic? And they're like, yeah, they just handed out tickets, and all the tickets are handed out.
Oh man.
And I'm like, so did people like line up here at like 9 p.m. or something and have to wait until 6 a.m. for this? Like, what happened here? But, anyways, I was like, well, it's so sad. I guess I'll just go to work. And then throughout the day, I was like constantly checking every single website I could possibly think of to see if any went up for order. And then after work, I stopped by Target, and absolutely no luck anywhere. But I mean, hopefully there'll be a second shipment. I feel like this is just a total scalper racket at this point. They're like in the morning yesterday when I woke up, I checked on Amazon and there were like maybe, you know, maybe 100 SNES Classics listed on there from like resellers, and then by like the end of the day there were like 500, and it was all these like just launched accounts selling them for like $250. And I was like, this is really sad and messed up.
Yeah, I have a couple responses here. Number one, like in terms of the resellers and the stock and all that, like I believe them, take them at their word when they say there will be regular restocks and reshipments. And I think after what happened with the NES Classic, it was inevitable that you would have the lines, that you would have the demand, that you would have the resellers, because, you know, that's like a learned behavior or learned, you know, kind of market from the NES Classic. But, you know, Nintendo is like saying, hey, this is going to be different than the NES Classic. There's going to be plenty of them. They never said anything like that with NES Classic. You know, they only said, get it before the start of the new year, otherwise they're gone. You know, I mean, like, they never said anything like that. So, and then, you know, like anecdotally, I know our Meyer in town, I can't remember the number they had. I could go back through my texts and see, but I think it was like 20 or something. And the Meyer here got like 3 NES Classics on launch night, you know, and Targets here, I mean, the 2 Targets in our town, between them had 120 units, you know. I just think there was like 5 times as many SNES Classics last night as there was on the launch night for NES Classic. And so, you know, if that, you know, you use that anecdotal or that sort of like circumstantial evidence to sort of, you know, look into the future, Nintendostradamus style, I just think that like we're going to be getting more shipments, and when they come in, there's going to be a lot more units. So I think that you'll be able to get them. The other thing I was going to say is what you're talking about with having like an SNES Classic in every room, or, you know, having one from every region. I could see myself going down that road at some point too. Maybe not all 3 regions, but well, no, it probably would be, because I already have a UK one. But like, you know, I was so excited to get the UK one because it has that cooler, you know, shell than the North American Super Nintendo. But then it's like, well, now I don't have one that looks like the one that we played when we were kids, you know. So now I kind of want one of those. And then obviously I'd still love to get a Japanese Famicom Mini, and a Super Famicom Mini would be cool for the Japanese version too, with different games and stuff. So who knows?
Yeah.
But I do think what you're doing in counselor speak, we would call this like rationalizing, because these things are so small. All you'd have to do is have an HDMI cable like already plugged into the TV in whatever room you wanted to put. I mean, it's like carrying a 3DS from one room to the other. You know what I mean? You just leave the HDMI cord plugged in, and, you know, you could just bring your Super Nintendo Mini to like whatever room you wanted to play it in. You don't really have to have them. It's not like, well, I might want to have a PS4 in 2 different rooms in my house, because like it's a 10-minute process to disconnect it and reconnect it. But, you know, you don't really have to do that with the Super Nintendo Mini.
I don't understand what you're talking about right now.
You don't get it?
You're making no sense to me.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, no logic there, huh? No logic. No logic, and just having an HDMI cable just sitting there and boop, plugging it in, and
No, I also, well, yeah, I mean, I get that. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But I also think like
it's like, you know, you have the USB plug or whatever, you know, like if I want to use my iPad in 2 different rooms in my house, I don't buy a new iPad. I just like maybe would buy an extra charger. You know what I mean? That's all you need.
Or like multiple Switch docks, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, about that. I don't know. I also think like these are gorgeous little devices, and I like the idea of one sitting under every TV.
Okay. That makes sure. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Well, like I said,
this is how I define a life of luxury. This is my end goal, like game of life style. Like this is the winning play.
Yeah.
Is an SNES under every TV.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the stronger argument, is like, I just want them because they're cool, is the stronger argument than like, I need them because it's too hard to move them from room to room. They fit in the palm of my hand. No, but you know, the thing about that too is it's really not too crazy either because they cost slightly more than a new video game. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like buying 3 of these things is essentially the cost of buying 3 video games. You know what I mean? So really not that big of a deal.
So, well, maybe eventually we will talk about the SNES Classic.
I think you're going to get one very soon if you want a North American one. And if not, I will keep my eyes open and find one for you if they continue to be difficult. But
yeah,
I have the faith.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Reggie spoke. What he speaketh is always. Hey, you know, we don't have it in the news, but real quick, while we're talking about Reggie, we should talk about the fact that John Cena was at the Nintendo headquarters again last week.
Yeah. What do you think it means?
I don't know. It's probably a marketing thing, I'm going to guess, especially since he was photographed with Reggie Fils-Aimé and Doug Bowser. I'm guessing it's a commercial or, you know, but it would be nice if he was there to talk, you know, like some kind of significant, what would you say, like endorsement type thing, you know? But I don't know. I mean, I doubt that it's because they're making the John Cena video game for Nintendo Switch, but it's probably a commercial, but I guess it's tough to say.
Yeah. That I like my dream is they do a Nintendo Direct for WWE 2K18 and have like a skit involving him, maybe like him and Bill Trinan, something. What is John Cena's signature move?
Well, he's got a couple. His primary signature move is the AA, which would see him lifting Bill Trinan up on his shoulders and sort of spinning him down into like a body slam type thing.
Okay.
So he could do that to Bill Trinan. He also has a move called the STF, which is a submission hold, where he would get Trinan down on the ground, face down. It's almost like a cross-face chicken wing type thing, but you laying on the ground and then pull the leg up behind him too.
Oof.
Trinan would definitely tap to that.
Yeah.
Or sorry, you shouldn't ask if you don't want to know, but he's got one more kind of signature finisher. This one I hate. I think it's the worst move in wrestling, even though I love John Cena. It's the 5-knuckle shuffle. So he does the whole "you can't see me" thing. Goes back, like the guy's laying on the ground, right? So like the guy's on the ground, Cena stands over him, does the "you can't see me," then like goes to the rope, bounces back, and then drops like 5 knuckles onto the guy's face, like punches him in the head. But it takes about 20 seconds to pull off, and like at no point would somebody lay there that whole time and just wait to get like he's like telling him, "I'm going to be back in about 15 seconds to punch you in the face," and then the guy just waits for it to happen. So it's kind of dumb. Yeah. So I think Trinan might be able to get out of that one, but anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that would be cool. Maybe have Roman Reigns sweep in there at the last second to save Trinan.
Yeah, come in with a Superman punch. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. You're clearly referencing the recent match at No Mercy, Cena v. Roman Reigns. So
I heard it was a heartbreaker. I heard it was a heartbreaker for Cena fans.
It really was. Yeah, it's true.
Well, also pretty cool Nintendo wrestling related news. Bayley is competing in the Nintendo World Championships.
Yeah, that was super cool. Yes.
Yeah, what's the deal? I didn't know that she was much of a gamer.
Yeah, I guess I didn't necessarily know that either. I don't remember being aware of that. But you know, games are pretty big with wrestlers. I was just talking to our friend Darren about this a week or two ago. There's a lot of wrestlers that are pretty into games, and I think they spend a lot of time on the road too. So you know, they take their game systems with them. Of course, Xavier Woods from the New Day in WWE has a very popular YouTube channel, Up, Down, Down.
Asuka.
Yeah, Asuka, who's on her way to the main roster. She's debuting at Hell in a Cell. I don't have to tell you that. You already knew, but you know,
she's got a huge Super Famicom or Famicom and PC Engine collection.
Yeah, and she does a YouTube channel too, doesn't she? Or at least does videos, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. But yeah, I'm not sure. I guess I mean, obviously it's like a promotional thing. I don't think Bayley was at a Best Buy in San Jose doing the qualifying event. so they must have chosen her to participate. But it seems like she's competing along with everybody else, at least the way they described it. So
That should
I
be
think
that
that's
should be
cool.
fun. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
I always have I have a lot of fond memories of wrestling and Nintendo intertwined in my brain from being a kid and then also being like a teen in the N64 days. So we've been talking about doing a wrestling game episode, some Nintendo wrestling talk. Maybe we should make that happen sooner or later with
I,
all of these developments.
I think we should. And, I am committed to picking up 2K18 for the
Mm-hmm.
Switch. And I believe we've gotten a similar commitment out of Kevin.
Yep.
So if we can talk you into it, Ryan, then the three of us are playing that game, then.
I was already talked into it.
Okay. Well, then, I think we have to do it then.
Yeah.
We'll for sure do a show with a lot of talk about that game, but might as well bring in some classic N64 and other Nintendo system wrestling game talk too.
Yeah. Yeah.
No Mercy.
Oof. Yeah.
Pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling. WWF the arcade game.
Yeah.
Doink the Clown.
I played a couple of those. I think we might have talked about it on the show even, but
Mm-hmm.
I played a couple of those in April at my pre-WrestleMania party, the pre-party portion of my WrestleMania party. So that was fun.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
really fun.
All right, so let's talk news, and then I have like a million games to talk about that I've been playing for like 10 minutes each, but we'll get to that. But news, pretty cool stuff from Famitsu. They revealed that Excitebike, Urban Champion, and Wrecking Crew are coming to the Nintendo Switch Arcade Archives lineup. So Mario Brothers released last week, and now we knew that Punch Out and Versus Balloon Fight and Clue Clue Land and some others were coming, but now we got confirmation that even more Excitebike, Urban Champion, and Wrecking Crew are coming as well. Excitebike kind of being the highlight for me. That is a game I love. I've never played the arcade version. Yeah, so I'm excited to grab that. I've passed on Mario Brothers so far, just because that's definitely a multiplayer game to me, and I haven't been in a situation where I would play that multiplayer. But I'm excited about some of these other ones for sure.
Yeah. I would consider picking up Mario. I'll definitely get some of these other arcade games, but it's been a situation lately where too much to play, so just haven't been in a position to play those now with everything else going on the Switch. So, and the 3DS.
It is ridiculous, as we will talk about when we get to our games. But so then more games coming to Switch, 11 more to be exact. Kunio-kun, the World Classics Collection, is headed to Switch in Japan. Basically, it's 11 Japanese Kunio-kun games, and then also the Western versions of some of the games as well, including Renegade, Super Dodgeball, River City Ransom, and Crash and the Boys Street Challenge. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of Kunio-kun coming to Switch, and this is one I think this might be my first. If they do a retail version, it will be probably my first retail imported Switch game, and if it's just an eShop version, which I'm totally cool with, I will probably buy it on the Japanese eShop. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking yesterday when I was handling my Switch, because I have obviously the Japanese account for that Japanese eShop account, and there hasn't been much reason to use it too much, at least for me specifically, where there's like stuff, like really good stuff coming out in Japan that's not out here, since like the first month of Switch when there was a few demos I picked up or whatever. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is like, would have to get it, a must purchase. So for sure I will be grabbing this too. And yeah, I like your thought process there on doing the physical version. I'm particularly interested here. I'm looking at the list at forgive my pronunciation, but is it Ike Neketsu Hakibu?
Yes. Oh, that game is awesome.
Yeah, I want to play that one.
It was I believe it was going to be, at one time it was going to be released in North America as like Crash and the Boys Ice Challenge or something. I remember actually, I think it was like in Nintendo Power or something. They said, if you like Crash and the Boys, and who doesn't, there's going to be a hockey game coming, and it never actually got localized here. But I've played the Japanese Famicom version, and it's super fun, as you'd expect, because like the soccer game that was released here as Nintendo World Cup, it's got a very similar feel to that, which is kind of a similar feel to Super Dodgeball.
Yeah,
and super fun. I love those games.
Yeah, and these Kunio-kun games, it looks like all have, or a lot of them have online multiplayer too. So that's pretty amazing.
Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing in this Nintendo Life article.
I just noticed that. Holy cow! This is a pretty incredible package then.
Yeah, for sure.
Man, cool. Well, that's exciting. And this is coming in 2018.
Right.
Cool. So also coming to Switch is Inside, which is man, I don't even want to say anything. Like, I literally don't want to say anything about this game. I played through it on Xbox One when it came out in 2016, and it left an impression on me. It was extremely interesting to play, and I really enjoyed playing it like as a video game. But there's also some of the storytelling in it definitely left an impression. So I'm looking forward to revisiting it on Switch, and I'm looking forward to Nintendo fans finally getting a chance to play it.
I told you this when we talked about this game over text, when you let me know it was coming out for Nintendo or for Switch. I've been meaning to play it for a long time. I'm excited to play it. I'm very positive about the game. I'm looking forward to it. But I clicked on the news link, which is a story on gonintendo.com that you put in our show notes. And I looked at the third comment and it made me laugh. Somebody named Tetrodox posted, now we can all be bored with symbolism, and symbolism is in italics. And I just think that's a funny comment. I don't think it'll be boring, but yeah, these are like, these are very high concept games, right? Like, sort of like Flower Journey, that sort of thing. Like,
yeah, it's not that pretentious.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
I would say, like, sorry, fans of that game company, I would say like Flower is way more pretentious, and like Flower and Journey didn't really leave an impact on me. I enjoyed playing through them. I think they're cool. I'm glad games like that exist, but they didn't really do much for me. Like, this game, I have like images burned into my memory from it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like I don't know, like it gives me it gave me kind of the same feeling as like Lars von Trier's Antichrist. Like, in the way, like,
you're not selling me with that comparison.
Well, I don't know, man. I think it's maybe it's the Darren Aronofsky's mother.
No, you're not selling me with those
games.
No.
I don't know. I think for some people it really clicks. Some people are like, this is boring and pretentious. I think it's great.
I was with you until you brought up Lars von Trier and Darren Aronofsky, and now I am with Tetrodox.
Okay.
So we'll see.
you can be there. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think you'll like the game.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
it's
I'm
again, it's super unpretentious. Like it's all visual storytelling, but I think it's like a cool narrative progression, and
yeah, and it's from
it's
the
tinged with horror elements,
yeah.
and it's cool.
It was from the developer of Limbo, right? Which I did
Yeah,
play. Not all the way through, but I played quite a bit of. And that game is cool. And it's definitely more of a video game than something like Flower.
yeah.
And it does have the horror tinged elements. And I didn't think of Lars von Trier or Aronofsky when I played it. So maybe I'll be okay with Inside. But no, that's cool. That's definitely cool. Side note, I thought it was funny. I don't know if you played The Witness or
No.
Jonathan Blow's previous game, but I opened up my app store on my iPhone the other day and there was this like, this portrait photograph of him like looking off into the distance, and they did like a developer spotlight on Jonathan Blow because The Witness is on iOS now. I don't know what made me think of that. It wasn't the word pretentious. I'm not sure, but anyway, I just thought that was funny.
I didn't care for Braid at all.
Don't tell Chris Gans.
Oh, I've told Chris Gans. I did not care for that. I was thinking though when Witness was announced for iOS, or it just dropped, I was like, I might give this game a go if it came out on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had no interest in playing it on PS4, but I'm like, actually maybe on Switch something like this could be cool, or I also might not like it. So I don't know.
That's the magic of Nintendo Switch though, is that like, the device itself is so cool that it makes you want to play games you otherwise wouldn't play,
Yeah, which as evidenced in the fact that I bought FIFA 18. And I'll talk about that in a bit. But one last news article, and you put this one in, John, so why don't you explain it? It's from a few weeks ago, and it's probably old news to everyone, but still wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, but that's our brand. So, yeah, like it's just too touching not to talk about, whether or not, I don't think we're often necessarily the first source for news for our listeners, but it's just a really cool story.
I hope not.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so sorry.
But yeah, no, it was revealed about a week or two ago that the NES golf game is sort of coded into every Nintendo Switch, and it's sort of hidden there. And the way that it's unlocked is by doing Iwata-esque Nintendo directly to you gestures with your Switch, but only on Satoru Iwata's birthday, July 11th. And I just think that is so cool. We did a whole show when Iwata passed away, and if you go back and listen to that, you can tell it was a very emotional thing for us, and for, I think, a lot of Nintendo fans. It was definitely a super emotional thing for Nintendo itself and the people who run Nintendo and make video games there. And so to see that Iwata is still very much remembered and very much considered to still be super important to Nintendo is great. And obviously I think he would have been involved in planning the Switch, so it sucks that he did not live to see it released and see how madly in love people are with it. But it's cool that he is part of it in some way. And golf is a game that he coded for Nintendo for the NES, or the Famicom. So it's no doubt a tribute to him.
Yeah, and so like right now you basically can't play this because there's no way to
change your calendar. It's like connected by the internet or whatever.
Right. But I guess like July 11th of 2018, we should be able to play this.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's really cool. And also like golf is like a really great NES game as well.
Cool.
Like, I mean, it basically invented the genre and I think it's not really given much credit for that. But like the basic mechanics of the original Golf like show up in everything from like the the PGA games from EA to stuff like Golf Story, which I'm going to be talking about soon here.
I misspoke. July 11th is the day that Iwata died, not his birthday. But
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but either way, yeah, just a really, really cool thing there. So,
Yeah, that's incredible. All right, so I guess now we can start getting into games we've been playing.
yeah.
As for myself, kind of the big thing for me this week, I've talked about it on the show for months now. Back in like late May, early June, I pre-ordered a retro USB AVS system. And it finally arrived. Here is the box.
I was going to say
Not exactly a.
if you were pulling out the system itself, you must have one in every room, I guess. So it's good that it's just the box.
Actually, I would not hate that idea at all because I love this system. It took a while for them to ship. They make pretty limited quantities of them. It's definitely a premium item, more so than like the NES Classic or SNES Classic. But what's great about it is it's essentially it's hardware based cartridge play. So it plays NES cartridges and Famicom cartridges, and hooks up to a device via HDMI and gives you a very nice picture on an HD TV, or in my case, I have it hooked up to my PC monitor because I've been doing a lot of recording videos on it. And you can go into, before you boot up a cart, you can go into the options menu and change stuff like adding scan lines. You can change the aspect ratio, kind of the same things you'd get from a device like the NES Classic. But what's really cool for me has been the Game Genie functionality that is built into the system. Did you ever have a Game Genie, John?
Not well, yes, we had one around at some point as a kid, but I didn't really ever use it, and I have one now. But similarly, I've never really used it.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of a pain to enter those codes. They're lengthy. But I remember having a lot of fun with the Game Genie as a kid because you could like subtly change the code to have different effects on the game. Because basically it just messes with the programming of the game. And yeah, so that's built in, and they have codes preloaded in them. So you just like scroll down and click on the codes you want, and it just enters them automatically.
Oh, wow.
You don't have to like type them in or anything. And so it's pretty cool for certain games, especially when you just want to, see a bunch of the game. Like I was playing Batman on NES, and which is a pretty tough game. But I, used a Game Genie code for like infinite ammo, and then like I was able to do a lot more projectile attacks, which meant I was able to get farther in the game than I ever had before. And I just played some Friday the 13th last night, and I had infinite health. So
oh wow.
I was able to actually defeat Jason, which is not something that I usually do on a Friday the 13th playthrough. So yeah, it's pretty fun. I'm be the picture and the audio quality and stuff. But I'm also not like a super hardcore. Like I'm obviously I'm like pretty hardcore because I just bought a $200 box to play play NES games, but I'm not like Framemeister hardcore.
Yeah.
So I'm not like $700 to play NES games hardcore. So I don't know if like it's totally perfect. And I do have like one complaint with the system, the hardware itself. Famicom games go in great. NES games kind of stick a little bit. So sometimes I feel like I'm pulling on them a little harder than I would like to when taking them out. But otherwise, I think the hardware is really cool. It has 4 controller ports built in, so it's like an automatic like 4-score or NES satellite, and then it also has a port to hook up a Famicom disk system to it, which is pretty exciting because disk system is something, it's like one area of Nintendo that I've like very, very little experience with. And I'm thinking about like down the road, definitely purchasing one and hooking it up because I've always been super fascinated by the hardware and there's a lot of games I want to play on it. And related to that, I just purchased this book from Hardcore Gaming 101, which is the complete guide to the Famicom disk system. And it basically goes through and every single piece of software released on the Famicom disk system and kind of gives a little overview of all of the games. It tells how rare they are, you know, how to get them, what format they're in, because some games were only released on like the disc writer side where you had to like go to the convenience store and get them copied to your Famicom disc. And so it's a ton of interesting information like that, and it's kind of helping me sort of think about like, okay, what are the, you know, dozen or so games that I would really want if I did get a disc system? How much is that going to cost me? And it's just been fun reading about because so many of these games were never released in the West. A lot of them were like, you know, visual novels and mystery games or like just weird genres that just didn't exist on the NES in any like big capacity back in the day. So it's been really fun to learn about that, and that's definitely something I'm looking towards the future for.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm very interested in this retro USB AVS system that you picked up there, Ryan. It sounds really cool. I have, you know, since you've been talking about it, I read some reviews and stuff, and it sounds like people are really pretty pleased with the quality of the emulation and all that kind of stuff. But not only that, you know, the fact that it plays Famicom carts as well as NES carts is, you know, that's a major win. You know, I have an NES, I don't have a Famicom, so there's a lot of games I could pick up for Famicom, and a lot of times, like, you can get Famicom and Super Famicom games for less money than you can get the NES and SNES counterparts. So, but you know, I don't have a Famicom, so it would be a pretty cool thing to get for that reason too. While we're on this subject, I just wanted to mention that my friend Scott that I work with over the last couple of weeks has received in the mail a Framemeister.
Okay.
And he also got an open source, it's what's it called? The OSSC. I don't know if you've heard about that. Open source scan converter, a similar thing to like the Framemeister, but it's a little bit cheaper. It's like closer to $150 instead of what like Framemeisters are like $3 something, I think. So he's gonna be like checking those out and testing those out, and like that's whenever like talk of like, you know, one of these retro system comes up, like getting an AVS or whatever, you know, part of me thinks like, well, I could spend, $175 on an AVS, or I could put that money towards an upscaler. But the problem with that is, like, even if you get an upscaler, like if I bought a FrameMeister, I bought one of these OSSC boxes, you're really not going to get high quality video unless you have a modded NES or Famicom. So it like becomes this whole snake eating its own tail situation where it's like, I'd like to have the original hardware, and if I just get an upscaler, then I don't have to buy all these like, system re-releases or whatever. But that's not really, once you get to like Dreamcast and PS2 and GameCube era and stuff like that, okay, maybe. But when you're talking like Super Nintendo and Nintendo, and in that era of games, you kind of have to have modded systems, and then that's a whole expensive, rabbit hole to go down there. So,
yeah, it's tough because I think both you and I, we like playing original cartridges with the original controllers. I think that's that's personally where I fall. Like, the box itself doesn't matter as much to me because I also have like a Retron 2 for Super NES and Super Famicom games. But what really matters to me is that it's hardware based, and it's not like some Android emulator or something that's just like dumping a ROM. Like, I want to be able to play with the original controller, and I want to use, cartridges, and that's kind of where I draw my line. So like the AVS is definitely providing the experience that I want so far. So I'm really happy with it. It's also gotten me super hardcore into NES game collecting right now. So I've been I texted you last night that I had went on a bender on the GameStop 2 buy 2 get 1 on used games, because they also count their retro games there, and they had some pretty good prices. So I'm pretty happy with my haul from there.
Yeah, remind me again, what did you pick up?
Oh geez, Willow, Gremlins 2.
Oh, okay. I didn't see all these. I thought you just got the 3 games.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I sent you another text with more. Bionic Commando, Maniac Mansion, Final Fantasy, Ninja Gaiden, the N64 game, Star Wars Episode 1 Battle for Naboo. Star Wars NES.
Yep.
And I don't know what else, but it was like I ended up ordering like 9 games and like getting 3 of them free. That's awesome. And free shipping and 10% off with Power Up Rewards card. It's pretty good haul.
Cool.
Pretty happy about that. So yeah. Anyways, super fun stuff. If you actually want to see the system in action, I've recorded a ton of videos, and I have like even more that I'm recorded gameplay of and haven't even posted yet on the Nintendo Fun Club podcast YouTube channel. I'm actually working on a ton of different games and just splicing it together with no commentary or anything, just so you can see like the Game Genie codes that are available and just like what different games look like and how they run on the system. And then you can kind of judge for yourself if that's something you think is cool. But yeah, all the gameplay footage is, original cartridges and running on the AVS. So check that out at the Nintendo Fun Club podcast YouTube channel.
Awesome.
Cool. So what's something you've been playing?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've been playing Metroid, Samus Return some more. But nothing. I don't necessarily have too much more of an update on it. I'm in the same place where I was really, which is that I'm enjoying it. I'm still, it's scratching the Metroid itch for me. I'm enjoying the gameplay. Combat hasn't been too much of an issue for me. I like it. So we talked about like you feeling like it slows down, your your gameplay a little bit too much with the heavy emphasis on like the melee stuff and the combat and everything. That hasn't bothered me too much, but I haven't gotten as much further into it as I would like to. I think I'm only in area 3, so I have a ways to go. It's still kind of in the same place though, where the aesthetics of the game, well, the visual look of the game is not totally doing it for me. So, but it's not a big deal because the game itself is really fun. So, still playing Samus Returns. I still like it quite a bit, and hopefully I'll be able to finish that up in the next week or two and be primed and ready to go for Mario Odyssey. Mm-hmm. But the other new thing that I've played is the Mario Run update on the iPhone. So I was the Nintendo Fun Club true believer in Mario Run. You didn't love it. Kevin didn't love it. But I was pretty into it. I played a ton. I played through every stage and got the first 2 sets of coins for every stage. And I got about halfway done with getting all of the, I don't know if they're black coins or whatever, but the final set of coins for each stage of the game. So I played a significant amount. And even more than that, I did a ton of Toad Rally when the game came out. I played Toad Rally like crazy. If I look at my friends list, I'm way at the top of the Toad Rally list, except for my one friend, Holly, who went like ballistic with it and like got like, I don't know, like 4,000 toads or something. I had like 2,000. So she really went ballistic and got super far in it. But other than that, I played more Toad Rally than anybody I know. So I like Super Mario Run a lot. The update that came out yesterday, well, first half of the game is on sale for $4.99 rather than $9.99. So if you're interested in playing it and you have not done so yet, now is the time to get it, as it's half off for like another week or so, I think, just to celebrate this new update. But yeah, it added a new mode called Remix 10, which is cool. And as you would expect, it is remixed versions of levels from the game, but they're super short. So you basically, it's kind of similar to Mario Maker when you would do I forget the name of that mode, but you'd like play through, what was it, the 100 Mario challenge? I think they had like a 10 Mario challenge and then a 100 Mario challenge. It's kind of like that 10 Mario challenge, if that's what it was called in Mario Maker. But they're really short levels, but you just start out on like a line, and go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, and you do 10 of them in a row. And they have like these shiny coins, very much like the star coins in the new Super Mario Brothers games that you don't need to, but you can collect as you go through them. So it's pretty cool, but you can't go back to a level if you miss them. So it's a little bit of it's a challenge, especially for somebody like me who likes to get all of those things as I'm playing through something. It's a little bit of a challenge because the levels, it's auto scrolling and they're really quick, they're really short. So but like I played through a couple of rounds this morning and there's 10 levels. Let's say I finished 1, 2, 3, and 4, then I get to 5 and I die. It doesn't start me back at the beginning of 5, it just takes me to 6 and you just keep going. So you kind of play through all 10 levels regardless of how you do, but you want to try to get as many of these coins as you can. And you're building a score and everything like that, and you can use that to get items for your, I forget what it's called, but the part of the game where you can decorate your home or whatever, your like little home screen, your area. Toad House, yeah, whatever it was, yeah. So it all connects to that. But anyways, it's just like for people who've done everything in Mario Run, I guess it's a fun way to keep you coming back, and it's always a little different, I guess. So
is it a free update?
Yeah, it's free. Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep, the update is free, and it also comes with a new world. I think it's called the Star World or something like that. And so there's 10 new levels. I think 10, 9, I don't know. Anyways, a bunch of new levels in that too. But I haven't played any of those yet. It looks like you have to unlock them through finishing like a certain challenge in the main game.
Okay.
So I went to play the first one and it was like, well, defeat Bowser on World 6 with Peach. So I guess I just go to that level, play as Peach, and then that'll unlock the first level in the Star World or whatever. So that's cool. And then on top of that, it added this this mode where you can play music from your iPhone while you're playing the game. And if you play that way, your character, Mario, Luigi, whoever, will have headphones on while you're playing in the game, which is kind of cool. So yeah, it'll replace the Mario music with like music from your iPhone. But as far as I can tell, it's just like shuffle mode or whatever. Like it just plays.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't get the option to choose the songs that I wanted to listen to.
Okay.
But it went with the first track that played was Weezer, and the second track was Against Me. So I felt like Nintendo knows what I'm into, and
yeah. And the third track was a 45-minute Noam Chomsky lecture.
Yeah, that could happen. It actually could happen. No, but so yeah, all that stuff is pretty cool. And there's also remixed music as well for that remix mode, and it's like more dancey, poppy type thing. So it's like the Mario music, but there was like vocals in it, like somebody in the background doing like yeahs and oohs and stuff. I don't know. It was weird. I didn't get to listen to it too much, but I've seen a lot of commentary online where people are like really into it. They really like that remixed music. So maybe it's really good. My first impression was that it was okay, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, there's definitely quite a bit there. Like I haven't played Mario Run in months. I had to re-download it actually because my phone had removed it since it hadn't been used in a long time to make room for other stuff. But I think there's enough in this update that I'll probably play it regularly for at least a week or so. Would be my guess. So
nice. I actually kind of forgot that game existed, which I think probably a lot of people did. And then it's cool. They're still supporting it. I still don't like it, but it's cool that it's getting support, and it seems to be things that fans of the game actually like.
Yeah, and it would have been lame if they would have charged for the update, I think, because the whole thing was like $9.99 one-time purchase. That's it. So they've made good on that, which I think
that is cool.
Is the way to go.
Yeah, good on them.
Yep.
Awesome. So speaking of good, Golf Story was released on the Switch this week, and it is very good. This is a game that, like, when I first saw it revealed, I was like, oh yeah, this looks awesome. And then like they kept in subsequent like interviews and trailers, they kept like I guess raising the scope of it and feature creep, I guess. And then I started getting nervous because I'm like, whoa, this game seems maybe a little too ambitious for like an indie developer that I don't think had ever released a game before. I'm not totally sure. It was definitely not an indie developer that I'd ever heard of or played anything by them. And so I was starting to get a little bit nervous. And then when the game came out, I didn't actually buy it. I was like, oh, I'll wait for reviews. But then I watched Neil's gameplay impressions on a video over at Nintendo World Report. And he showed a bunch of gameplay and basically described it as Mario Golf meets Earthbound. And then I was like, well, I guess I am sold on this. And I got it, and it is pretty awesome. It's a little bit not what I expected. It's a little bit what I expected, but it's very cool. Like it is a quirky game, for sure. Like it's got that sort of like Nintendo-esque, like Earthbound, Mario RPG style, just like quirkiness to it. Which I appreciate, but it's not obnoxious in it. Like it doesn't go too hard on that stuff. But I don't know, it gives it a fun vibe. It has, I think, one of the more interesting ways that this sort of quirkiness manifests, and it's very similar to the Mario RPG series, is the way text is displayed, like character dialogue and stuff, because it's not voiced or anything, as you'd probably expect, but it like the text, like they change fonts and change font sizes, and text balloons move around depending on kind of the tone of the conversation. And I guess it's kind of similar to like what Undertale did as well, but it definitely makes reading text a lot more fun, I think, and it gives the game a lot of tone. And I think that was a really smart approach to it. And it also has really interesting HD rumble. Like, this game rumbles a lot and in some like unexpected ways, like in conversations and stuff. And I think that's really cool and smart too. Neil said in his video, like, it made him kind of like notice HD rumble again, which is almost something that feels like, it felt really cool at first, and then it's been maybe somewhat underutilized by developers outside of like a handful of indies. But this kind of was like, oh yeah, this is still like a really cool feature of this hardware. And that's sort of the vibe I got from it as well. But the basic moment-to-moment gameplay, it still kind of follows that typical golf game template that was sort of established with NES Golf back in the day. You have your multiple taps for swings, and like putting feels very similar to basically any golf game you've ever played. But it's like what I sort of thought this game was going to be was like, you go around and like it's an RPG, like basically like golf Pokemon, and you like challenge people, and you play a course against them, and then you get XP and money and stuff. And like there's some of that in there, but it's also just like a lot of just challenges, like on the quote unquote overworld, where you can just drop a ball at any place and like tee off and swing. So there's like random like switches and stuff that are like hidden behind trees, and you can like just, if you see something, you can just throw a ball down and swing for it. And I think that's really cool. Like it's like it's somewhat linear, but there's a lot of like different like side challenges you can do, and like you complete one and you get some XP and some money, and you can kind of build your character.
So I haven't played it yet, but this idea of like, okay, well, there's a button over there, and the only way to reach it is by hitting it with a golf ball. Like, I can see that being really cool if the buttons are a little bit like magnetic, you'd say, or whatever, where, if you hit a golf ball in that area, it's going to hit that button. But it's not something where it's like super precise, is it? Where you're sitting there like trying to hit it with a golf ball like 8 times in a row.
Trying to get a hole in one.
Get it. Yeah.
No.
That wouldn't be fun, I don't think.
No, you can. It does have like a pretty good aiming option that actually brings up like a reticle.
Oh, so show you exactly where it's going to go, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then you still have to like plan your shot like golf, but I think I'm pretty average at golf games. Hot Shots Golf, Wii Sports Golf, Mario Golf are like the main ones I've played over the years. And like I can, I typically play games of like par, maybe 1 or 2 below par, on golf video games. So like I'm a pretty average player.
Are you better at golf in video games or in real life, would you say?
Considering I've like never played golf in real life, probably at video games, unless I might be an idiot savant when I actually get out there and hit the greens. But no, I mean, I actually it's kind of funny. I don't know if I've ever told this on this show, but I actually loved NES Golf so much as a kid. I convinced my parents to I bought a set of like golf clubs at a garage sale for like $10 or something, and I convinced my parents to sign me up for golf lessons when I was like, I don't know, like 10 years old or something. Kids golf lessons. And I did that for like a little while and like lost interest as I did with like every sport as a kid. But
Okay. Yeah.
but it was totally 100% inspired by
Inspired by golf.
NES golf.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
I think you did tell that story on the show, so
yeah,
but it's a good one.
yeah. So Golf Store is super awesome. I've maybe only played like an hour of it, so like I definitely want to dig in more. And I think it's a once again, like every video game ever, it is perfect on Switch because you can just play, do a couple challenges, and then turn it off. Like it's so perfect in like portable mode and everything. But it's super wonderful.
Cool.
All right, so now like just rapid fire hitting the 8 million games that came out on the Switch in the past 2 weeks that I've played. One I actually finished was SteamWorld Dig 2. And I say finished, but I ended up getting like 35% of the secrets in the game. And that took me about 7 hours. I've seen 100% playthroughs, taking friends, like our friend Ian, he did 100% playthrough and it took him about 12 and a half hours. So that's kind of like the range for this game. Um, but it's definitely a game I want to revisit, and I can totally see the compulsion to get 100% in the game because it's actually pretty rewarding to find secrets and everything. But I don't really feel like I need to like go super in depth describing this game because it's been talked about a ton, and I think a lot of Nintendo fans probably played the original SteamWorld Dig on 3DS. But basically, I think the best way to describe it is it's a Dig Dug Metroidvania, and it has, I would say, it has deeper RPG elements than a Metroid game. It actually is probably closer to an Igavania, because there's some degree of like skill trees and spending points and leveling up and that sort of stuff, which and you can actually kind of grind in the game if you need to. And put your points into certain areas to kind of customize the way that you play. And you can sort of make the game as easy or difficult as you want it to be. But yeah, I opted not to go with some of the more difficult elements. Like you can handicap your character in certain ways to earn more resources, but also like take more damage and stuff. And then there's also challenge caves hidden all over the world, and those are essentially like Breath of the Wild style shrines where it's just like it's a room or an area that's an environmental puzzle, and then there's a reward at the end. Some of those are extremely tricky, and I sort of did a hard pass on most of those. Like if I'd go in there and if I didn't figure it out within like 10 minutes, I just booked out and let that go. But this was one of those games that just really it's kind of one of those rare games that came around and like totally captured my interest, so that it was like the only thing I played for I don't know, probably 5 or 6 days. And I would play it like just, as soon as I got home from work, I would just play it like until it was just about bedtime. And I did that for about a week and finished it, and just really hooked me in a way that the original SteamWorld did not. And it's super satisfying and felt very open. And like I said, you could kind of customize the game to play how you are comfortable playing. And it was a really, really awesome game.
Cool. Yeah. I played the first one, and I thought it was, I liked it enough, but I didn't end up playing all the way through it.
Hmm.
And I've seen just the insane, not insane, but just the super high levels of praise for this game. Like people seem to really, really love the second one, and I might check it out at some point. But it seems like from what I've seen of it and like from what I've heard about it, it sounds like very similar to the first one. But I know like you played the first Steam World Dig, right? And you like
Hmm.
this one quite a bit more. So
Yes.
yeah, it just everybody says, or it sounds like a lot of people feel like it's a must play game and much better than the first one. But I'm not sure that I see like why this one would pull me in when the other one didn't. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, I mean,
all,
I think it's like going from the original Metroid to Super Metroid almost. Like it's just every aspect of the game is just like way more polished, but also like it has this openness to it. And I think just the general gameplay loop is super addictive and satisfying. It just feels good, um, and you kind of always know what your destination is and what you're going for. Um, and it's just, I don't know, it's just really, really tightly designed.
hmm, okay,
So yeah,
cool.
highly recommended. Even if you weren't a super big fan of the original. So cool. Other stuff I've been playing: Thimbleweed Park, a point and click adventure game from Lucas Arts alumni. It's kind of the brainchild of Ron Gilbert, who did uh, the Monkey Island games and Maniac Mansion. Um, it's a detective story, and it's a little bit of Twin Peaks, a little bit of Maniac Mansion, a little bit of Monkey Island. But I mean, it is your old school. Like you're going to read a lot. You're going to solve item based puzzles. You're going to explore. You're going to talk to a lot of people. Have dialogue choices. All of that. I think it looks really cool. I really like the pixel art style in the game. The writing is great. Like it is. There is a ton of text in this game, but it's pretty enjoyable to read. There's a lot of great in jokes in there. A lot of fun nerdy references to you know pop culture and like old school LucasArts, Lucasfilm, which is something that was very much in those old adventure games, like Day of the Tentacle and stuff had like a bunch of Star Wars references and everything in there, and you're getting that as well. Like John, I sent you some pictures
Yeah.
of Star Wars references in this game. It's quite a few, and playing it handheld on the Switch. Once again, the Nintendo Switch makes every video game better, because it's fun just playing it portably, but also there's touchscreen options as well, for like very literal point and click, point and tap, I guess, gameplay. So you're essentially getting the console version of the game and like an iPad version of the game all in one here. Uh, I've played about 2 hours of it, and I'm definitely digging it. I think my interests, like, there's just uh, so much to play right now. It's just an embarrassment of riches on
Mhm.
Nintendo systems that I've kind of taken a break from it, but it's definitely one I want to finish at some point. Lindsay's been playing it as well, and like when we're both sitting there playing, we've been laughing out loud at certain parts and like talking to each other. And you have some degrees of like dialogue tree choices, so there's some fun conversations like, oh, what did you choose for this, and oh, did you find this like weird Easter egg here? And it's just a super dense game that's really fun to play, really fun to talk about. And it's pretty lengthy and it's pretty intense because of all like the reading and stuff. So I would say just, if you're in the mood for it, and, you have kind of like when there's like a lull or something, or if you're like way excited about this idea right now, like I definitely highly recommend it. It's super good. And it's really cool to get a game like this on Switch, because it's a pretty meaty game. So it's another, a lot of the stuff recently on Switch with indies has been a lot of like arcade style, like pick up and play sort of things. But then like between like SteamWorld Dig and Thimbleweed Park, you're getting like some of those like, 10, 15, 20 hour experiences there as well. So yeah, cool stuff. What else?
FIFA.
My goodness, still FIFA. Yeah, I got that. The yesterday came in the mail. FIFA. So I guess I should give some context about this. So here's where I stand on sports games and soccer and all that. I enjoy watching soccer. Lindsay and I have been pretty into the U.S. women's team for the past few years. There was a time when we were all of those matches and really enjoying that. We also, back when we lived in Chicago, she had a Chicago Fire season pass, so we would go to a lot of MLS games. But since we moved out here to Colorado, we have not actually gone and seen the Rapids play. And we used to have a really great bar and restaurant, like just a few blocks away from where we lived, where we would go to watch soccer games. And now, since we've moved into our new condo, we don't have any place like walking distance, so we haven't really been up on watching soccer. But it's definitely a sport I really enjoy playing and or watching. And so that's kind of where I stand with the sport of soccer. As far as sports video games, I believe the last sports game that was not like a Mario sports game that I bought at launch was International Superstar Soccer 98 for the Nintendo 64. And that was because my friends and I were all like super huge fans of the original ISS on N64, and which is just a fantastic, incredible game. Still super, super fun to play even today. But I usually go for the FIFA games. In recent years, I've been playing them as they're released on the Xbox One via EA Access. I have an EA Access subscription, which basically they have like this, you pay, I don't know, it's like 20 or 30 bucks a year. And then when a game goes into the vault, you can download it and play it for free. And so like they always do that with their sports titles like Madden and NHL and stuff. Like when the new version's about to come out, you can just basically play the old version for free. So I've played like FIFA 15, 16, and 17 on Xbox One via EA Access. But I usually play them like 9-10 months after they come out. But I just like to hop in there and just play matches. Basically, I'm not really into the management aspect. I've kind of passed on all like the story stuff and the like create a character and all that. Like I just like going in and playing matches. And I pretty much just use like the classic control scheme, which basically, you know, is the International Superstar Soccer, like even going back to like the FIFA games on Genesis and SNES, like it's the very basic, most basic control scheme. I don't do all the analog like ball control stuff. That's required for like high level play. I just like playing matches. I like playing, you know, setting up tournaments and playing through like a season mode. And so with that all said, FIFA 18 on the Switch is pretty much perfect for me. It is definitely lacking some modes, some of the more hardcore modes, which you can there's the review on Nintendo Life by Chris Scullion really goes deep into like what it's missing compared to like the Xbox One and PS4 versions. But and like, you know, for some people those are like non-negotiables and that's why they play the game. So that I totally get if you're like, no way would I play this on Switch because of that. Or if you're like in there for like the super realistic visuals, and like the highest level quality of visuals, like you definitely probably want to get the PS4 version and play on a PS4 Pro, or the Xbox One version and play on the Xbox One X when that comes out. But for me, just like it's kind of amazing to play a game like FIFA, like a proper like sports sim with you know, pretty realistic graphics, maybe, you know, a few years behind the other current gen versions, but playing that on a portable is just really crazy and really cool to me. And like knowing like, oh, I can have my whole season here, and like it's really cool. So I've only played a couple matches so far, but so far I'm really impressed. Like it's super smooth, load times are short. You see the like it's visually it's impressive on a handheld, but it's like, you know, there's some like uncanny valley stuff and it's not like super great. The ground textures are pretty weak and like the crowd looks pretty lame. But all in all, like it plays super well. It plays super smooth. There's not, like I said, there's not a ton of loading or anything. There's like the full commentary throughout the match. For like what I'm looking for, it's pretty much perfect.
Yeah, and it sounds like based on your comments that especially if you plan on playing it portably, or you know, if you do a lot of portable, then you know it's a really good option or whatever. Every once in a while you hear about people who just like almost exclusively play their Switch docked or whatever, you know, and
like Kevin.
Yeah, I think he's coming around a little bit. I want to say that he mentioned recently that he's been playing some stuff undocked a little more, but oof. I don't know. I'd have
set
to
yourself free.
Yeah, right.
Break those chains.
But I mean, I do think like the compromise in fidelity and in graphics and stuff is probably more pronounced for people who play mainly docked. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, I could get Doom on my PS4 or I could get it on my Switch. Like, really, what is the motivation to get it on Switch if I play docked all the time? I have a PS4, I could play like the higher res version or, you know, whatever, the higher performing version. But, you know, for those people who play 50-50 or even play more portable than not, like to have a full-on FIFA, almost full-on FIFA game to be able to play like anywhere at any time it's probably well worth, you know what I mean, the graphical and you know, the graphical downgrade and the loss of a mode or two. So I just, you know, I think like that's a big factor with this whole thing, because it's an issue that's going to obviously continue to be there with the Switch forever, is that, you know, when we get games that are also released on other platforms, they're most of the time, you know, not going to be quite on par visually and horsepower wise. So, but a lot of times it's worth it, I think, if you're going to play, portably. So, and it sounds like that'd be the thing for FIFA. If you have if you have a PS4 and Xbox One and you have a Switch, like where do you get the game? Well, it depends on how much you want to play it portably, right?
Yep. Yeah. So, for me, like I definitely could have gotten it on Xbox One or PS4. And it's not really like a brand loyalty thing. Because, back on the Wii U, I bought most of my multi-platform games on PS4, Xbox One. Like I was never going to get Watch Dogs on Wii U. Like I just, I played that game on Xbox One.
Well, I think that's why the third-party game, concept or whatever is so much more compelling on Switch than it was on Wii or Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
What did you really gain from playing a game on Wii or Wii U when you could have played it on another platform? I mean, motion controls, I guess, maybe. But even those were added into the other consoles pretty quickly. So, the benefit of playing it on a Nintendo system in the previous two generations was a lower performing game. That was your benefit. That was your win. You know what I mean? But now, like, to be able to play it in the car, on the plane, or, just wherever, away from home or in another room. I mean, like, the portability is a major gain. And I think it's like, for a lot of people, it will be worth making the compromise. You actually have an incentive to buy what is, depending on how you look at it, a compromised version. From a certain perspective, it's not a compromised version at all, because the version that you're chained to your TV to play is the compromised version for some people, depending on what your play preferences are and what your lifestyle is like, and stuff like that. And obviously it's going to go game to game too, because if Doom looks very comparable, or it looks really good on the Switch, and you can play it portably, maybe that's not so much of a compromise. If whatever, football or sports game or a racing game or whatever comes out and it looks considerably lower quality on the Switch, then maybe, like, at that point you don't want to make that compromise. So I think it's going to be, obviously, kind of goes without saying, but it's going to be a case by case thing. So, and then frame rate's going to be another issue that factors into like, how people respond to this, because sounds like Doom is going to look pretty good on Switch, but it's also not going to run at 60 frames per second. So you've got a whole suite of issues to think about when deciding where to pick up a game. But
definitely. And like you said, I think it's going to be a case by case basis. Like, I think of something like if Battlefront 2 was coming to Switch, like, part of me is like, portable Star Wars.
Part of me is like,
sounds good, but then part of me is also like, I want like the most, like, highest, most technically advanced version of this game, because it's like, it's so gorgeous, and it's in the single player mode, it's basically like a new Star Wars story. And
well, that introduces a whole new wrinkle into it, though, because at a certain point with some games, it might be worth buying both versions. I think I would probably buy both. And not necessarily on day one, but like I would probably buy both at some point. I would for a Star Wars game, I would probably get the flashiest and best looking and whatever game on day one. Like I would get Battlefront 2 on PS4 on day one if it was coming to Switch as well. But then I think a month or two down the road, I would probably pick up the Switch version so that I could play it in other situations and stuff too. I think for a game like that, it would probably be worth it. But for a lot of other games, maybe not. I actually considered doing that with PS4 and Switch for WWE 2K18. But I don't think I need to do that. I mean, we have 2K17 on the PS4, and I never even play it. Like, a big part of the appeal for me is that it's going to be on the Switch. And I don't know. If I get super into it, maybe I'll get it on both. But at this point, I'm just going to get the Switch version, I think. And we'll see how it looks. But I'll be able to play 2K18 on the Switch, and then load up 2K17 on the PS4 and be like, let's see, how do these compare?
That's interesting.
Like, if 2K17 on the PS4 looks like way better than 2K18 on the on the Switch, it'll be it'll be interesting, and it very well may, but like
Mhm.
it'll just be interesting to say like, oh, okay, like does last year's game look like better enough? Like, does it look, is it a large enough degree of difference that I, want to get it on the PS4 too? Maybe I will, but we'll see.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, and then
I know my son is excited about, like, he loves 2K. WWE 2K, plays it a ton, and he's pumped to play it on Switch. Like, he's excited about the idea of just being able to play it like wherever, that's fun for him. And I've noticed, at least with my kids, like, or with him, like the magic of being able to play games, like for him to crawl up to the top bunk of his bed and play like a console game on a handheld system is it's pretty enticing. So we're excited to get it on the Switch.
Yeah, and I feel like in our household it's just been playing games portably it just feels so much more social.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's, I don't know, when one person's like playing on the TV, they're either playing with like headphones on or just like, the TV, the volume's going, so maybe the other person doesn't want to be in the room if you're like trying to do something else. So I think like when Lindsay and I are both just like hanging out on the couch playing Switch, like it feels more like hanging out,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. And that's something that's, I think is pretty important as well. And I do want to say, as we kind of wrap this episode up, speaking of Lindsay, who is still asleep right now, as normal people should be on a weekend,
Mm-hmm.
she has been playing a Switch indie game called Kingdoms, New Lands or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't really understand what the game is, but it looks like the art style reminds me of, I think it's Sword and Sorcery, Super Brothers.
Oh yeah.
That game that came out a few years ago. It kind of reminds me of that, but she has been playing that game every day since she bought it, and I still don't understand what you do in the game, and I haven't taken the time to really figure it out, but she absolutely loves that game. So
Cool.
I don't know, she's just been playing that and watching Doctor Who a lot lately. So it seems like a very chill game to play while doing something else, but that's what she's on every day. So
It's not a lifestyle I would recommend, but it is one way to live. Doctor
ooh,
Who and what's it called? Kingdom.
Kingdoms, New Lands, or something. I don't know. Kingdoms. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems good.
Yeah. I just wanted to quote that Bright Eyes lyric. I shouldn't say it's not a lifestyle I would recommend. It's just an alternate lifestyle. You know what I mean? Maybe completely recommendable, but it certainly is one way to live. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. What I'm trying to think of the other lyrics to that song. What made sense in the evening seems insane. Is that a lyric there?
What was so simple in the evening by the morning seems insane. Yeah. It's a tune. It is a tune. And I feel like after recording this podcast starting at like 5:30 a.m. for you, you might have to start quoting that. What's the lyric? If you promise to stick, if you promise to stay conscious, I will try and do the same. You might have to pull that one out at like 11 o'clock this morning or noon or something.
Yeah, well, it is definitely. I'm definitely wide awake. It is morning. All right, so yeah, let's wrap this up. Video games are good. There's a lot of video games to play on Nintendo systems right now, even if you don't have an SNES Classic. Oh my god, if you have a Switch, and it's just going to be until the end of the year, it seems. The flood is not stopping.
Hey, can Nintendo make a prediction real quick before we go?
Oh, sure.
I'm just going to grab him from the other room real quick.
Yeah. What did he say?
Well, Amazon.co.uk is predicting that my Super NES Classic will show up on Friday, October 13th. Which
ominous.
it is ominous. I want to do like Halloween themed stuff that day, and I just like Nintendostradamus predicts that prediction is wrong. I don't think it's going to take that long. What do you think, Ryan? Like, or when is yours predicted to show up?
Same day.
Yeah,
13th.
I hope that's incorrect, because that's like what, 13 days from now, or more, isn't it? I don't know. Anyways, it's a long time from
15
now.
days. Yeah.
15 days. Yeah. It just doesn't seem. Maybe it's not Friday the 13th. Actually, now that I say that.
The 12th, maybe.
15. The point is, I'm hoping that I get my
middle of October.
I'm hoping I get it like next week sometime. Like, I don't know how long it takes to ship something from the UK, but it just seems like that would be 15 days. Seems like it probably shouldn't take quite that long. So we'll see.
Well, I don't know. Once it's dispatched, it's out of our hands.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll eventually be able to talk about SNES Classic, but
I am going to play one tonight.
Oh,
yeah. I'm going to go to a friend's house and play tonight. So
nice.
I'll get a little bit of hands-on time, but not enough to write home.
Not going to be able to play through Final Fantasy 3.
Nope.
Bummer.
All right. Sorry, I derailed you as you were wrapping up. So
yeah. Yep.
Catch us next time we wake up super early in the morning to record a podcast, right? We have a lot of stuff. We have a lot of stuff on the way coming up here, because we've got our wrestling episode, we've got our Resident Evil 2 for N64 episode. We're gonna have to talk about the Super NES Classic once we get one. So, and then Mario Odyssey drops at the end of the month. So I mean, I feel like this is a super busy month for Nintendo fans, for Nintendo Fun Club podcast.
Yeah, which has been kind of the case since March.
Yeah.
Of this year. It's a new era of having way too much to talk about. I don't hate it. Cool. So yeah, that's our podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. You can you can check out our other blog and everything over at NintendoFunClubPodcast.com. You can go to our YouTube channel. I have a bunch of AVS stuff up there, and I'm gonna put at least one more like supercut video up there some point this weekend. Just Nintendo Fun Club Podcast YouTube. Buy a shirt. It's
Halloween shirts.
Yeah, we have like horror themed Nintendo shirts in our store. We have our own logo shirt. Check that out and support us. Leave a review on iTunes if you're into that. You can find me on Twitter at BrawnDwarf, BrawnDwarf. And where can folks find you, John?
I'm on Twitter at Arcade Ghost.
All right. Well, until next time. I don't know. I was really trying to think of a Bright Eyes reference to close this out, and I could not come up with anything while I was talking. Do you have anything, John? Close us out with a lyric. Okay, I got one.
Okay.
That looks like a pomegranate.
It's your birthday, darling. Happy birthday. We love you very, 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 very much.